Hi, I'm Karlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Karlin Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, karlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hey guys, it's fancy seeing you here. It's like we were just here about half an hour ago, because we were here just half an hour ago. If you guys missed it earlier, I did a stream about it starting at 3 o'clock. We did about an hour and a half on how James O'Keefe is so effed. James O'Keefe is getting sued by Project Veritas. I read the lawsuit on the stream before. He is effed. He is effed. James O'Keefe, and I'm sorry to break the news to people, he blatantly broke his employment agreement with Project Veritas. If you want proof of that, go and watch the earlier stream. And it's just too bad, man. It's just too bad. But that's not what we're going to do on this stream. We're going to do James O'Keefe later, because, like, here's the thing. So a little birdie told me that James O'Keefe, in addition to basically staging his whole demise with Project Veritas, because make no mistake, what happened with James O'Keefe is a self-inflicted wound. This is entirely because of James O'Keefe's narcissism. I'll tell you that right now. And it's too bad. But a little birdie told me that James O'Keefe is going to continue to dig the hole on Tim Pool later. And so maybe we'll watch that too, but that doesn't start for 3 hours. And in between then and now, we have something else that I really wanted to do today. I really wanted, and I have wanted to since last week, and I hope you guys will play along. So, has anyone been watching the Trump versus DeSantis influencers on Twitter? Because the Trump versus DeSantis influencers on Twitter are already losing their goddamn minds. We have another year of this Republican primary. And yes, Chris, I am aware that Timcast starts at 8. I'm keeping an eye on the clock. And already, Ron DeSantis has just announced that he is running for president. We all knew he was going to run for president. This is not a surprise. But already the Trump faction of the influencers and the DeSantis faction of the influencers are fighting. And last week they did this Twitter space. And I feel like this is going to be a promising kind of palate cleanser between James O'Keefe totally fucking himself in this lawsuit and James O'Keefe continuing to dig the hole for himself on Timcast later. I feel like this is going to be a nice little palate cleanser because Mike Cernovich tweeted this space out and says, I can never say shit to anyone who watches a Real Housewives show ever again as I'm listening to this. And this is a Twitter space that happened last week. Over 300,000, almost 400,000 people tuned into it. Trump versus DeSantis. Babylon Bee censorship with the Babylon Bee CEO Seth Dillon, and then we have our friend here, Seth Weathers. Seth is the conservative dad beer CEO. I've also known Seth for years because he had this company called Bring Ammo that made these like base T-shirts, and then he changed the name of the company to something else. But Seth does some of the most based merch on the internet, and he's the guy that launched the conservative dad beer that you may have seen the commercial for. Anyway, Seth said, I listened for a few minutes and couldn't take it anymore. So I want to listen to it. I want to listen to the fighting. I want to listen to the shenanigans. I want to hear what's going on from the Trump influencers and from the DeSantis influencers. And can we all just like kick back and enjoy this and listen to this space with friends? And I can knit and we can have some downtime. Does that sound good to everyone? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do it for probably about 3 hours, and then I'll go live again, and we will snipe the shit out of Tim Pool's stream because I don't care. I want to watch James O'Keefe continue to dig the hole for himself. And if I'm going to watch this stuff anyway, I'm going to watch it with friends because that's the way it's going to go. And that's what we're going to do on the stream today, guys. So before we get into that, and I do want to get into that rather quickly, I just want to remind everyone, please make sure you are subscribed to my Substack, which is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. Last night, I posted an article that really kind of pissed some conservatives off because it is an example of woke on the right. Now, people don't believe me when I say there is woke on the left and there is woke on the right, and neither woke is good, and the left is more dangerous, but the right is just as bad. People say all the time, Carlin, I don't give me an example of woke on the right. You don't have any examples. Just give me one example. Okay, well, I'll give you one example because the other day, Ted Cruz tweeted that gay people shouldn't receive lifetime prison sentences for being gay. And Ted Cruz's Twitter was mobbed with alt-right authoritarian insanity. I know, everyone is shocked that I would be pissing off conservatives. They are shocked. I had at least 2 conservatives who were subscribing, who were like supporting my work, like flounce off, like, I just cannot support your work anymore because of what you're besmirching of conservatives. I'm like, yo, if your side is going to do this anti-gay nonsense, I'm going to call you out for exactly what you are, which is authoritarian douchebags. Don't tell me gay people need to go to prison for the rest of their lives. And so I provided an example of that. I showed you the receipts. By the way, the Blaze is taking the talking point of, I don't even know why we're talking about this, Ted. How dare you use a hashtag, Ted? Like, it's just like, God damn, man. God damn. God damn. The homophobic right is on the march. That's exactly correct, Sam. And so I documented it last night in the Substack, pissed some people off, but sometimes things need to be said. And if you want to support the work I'm doing, I focus mostly like 90% of my time on the woke left. But every once in a while, we have to call out people that are supposed to be fighting back against this and are engaging in nonsense and bullshit instead. So we call out the woke right as well, because woke is about authoritarianism. It is not exclusive to the right. It is not exclusive to the left. I think it's great that Ted Cruz spoke up and said, no, we shouldn't be putting gay people in jail for a lifetime prison sentence. That doesn't really, that doesn't work for me. And so, yeah, that's on the Substack right now. But guys, please make sure you mount that like button for me. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you are not already. I do stream live at 5 p.m. every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Saturdays, we go live at 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday. And then every once in a while, or every day lately, we do surprise streams, either when the time calls for it, when there is breaking news like Project Veritas suing James O'Keefe's ass, when there is stuff like James O'Keefe going on Timcast to dig the hole even deeper. We might do surprise pop-up streams every once in a while, but the regular streaming schedule is at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. I post clips in between, all that good stuff. Tim is defending James O'Keefe. That's really stupid. What is Tim Pool saying? We're going to see what he's saying later, I suppose. But like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry to disappoint some of you. And I said this on the other stream. The case that Project Veritas is making against James O'Keefe is like cut and dry. This is not, if you hear any conservative influencer saying Project Veritas is trying to prevent James O'Keefe from doing journalism, that's not what they're doing. Now, that will effectively be the function of what happens for a little while, but that's not what Project Veritas is doing. James O'Keefe broke the employment agreement that he signed with Project Veritas in like 15 different ways. And Tim glazed over the merits of the lawsuit like they don't matter. He's doing real journalism over there, isn't he? God. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Let's get into this Twitter space and let's see how the rabbles were roused. Let's see. Hang on. Fast forward, maybe.
I was there for, and I think about, I just, and you've been in politics, but
There we go. Let me just get the sound fixed on my computer so I can actually hear what's being said. The case is cut and dry. It's very cut and dry. Anyone who says it's not in cut and dry hasn't read the case. I'm sorry. Come on. When do the people get involved? There we go. Oh, Gorka.
a little bit. It just seems like I'll ask in a few minutes once we actually kick off this. You've been in the.
I'm always puzzled by people on these. Okay, we don't have to love each other, and just remember what Kamala said about Biden, and what they said.
Sebastian Gorka is making a stink about not having to love each other. Sebastian Gorka one time called me to yell at me over a tweet. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not exactly accurate. Sebastian Gorka DM'd me his phone number and had me call him so that he could yell at me over a tweet. I'm not taking lessons from Sebastian Gorka on how to behave. I'm sorry. That actually happened.
About, what Hillary said about Tulsi Gabbard. The idea that we have to be monolithic is insane. It's un-American.
Maybe Sebastian Gorka is
whoever
HG
the
tutor.
candidate is who wins will get the votes of every reasonable person who's on the right. So people need
Has
to
anyone
stop
ever seen Sebastian Gorka and HG tutor in the same place
I
at the
just don't
same
get
time?
people who are so simplistic.
Yeah, I think it's also worth noting that if you remember, I'm sure you do, Dr. Gorka, back in 2016 when Ted Cruz and Donald Trump were the front runners at the time, and I mean some of those attacks were vicious back and forth. Now
they have an excellent relation.
Chief Trumpster is Nick Fuentes' guy. This is a Nick Fuentes person.
So people have no people from the establishment who he destroyed on the primary platforms. It's a different kind of politics today, and people need to wake up and understand that.
Right. So Heather, I'll go ahead and bring you in here while we still get the panel together here. We're working on that.
Well, how does this work? How long do you wait until you get going? What's like the minimum number?
We don't typically have a minimum number of a waiting period, but it just depends on how many panelists we've been able to reach and get up on stage. Because obviously that's all pre-planned, and the team in the background's working on bringing them all up. But sometimes it takes a little longer than usual.
And how do you get involved with running these things?
Okay, I don't care about this.
And I went there. He brought. I
want to hear you talk about Trump and
Dr.
DeSantis.
Gorka, that was another thing. I just got back from the border a week ago, covering that. So that was a week and a half ago now. But 20 hours. There is no complete border at all.
I'm going to give an update about what happened, get the audience up to date, and then we'll start the show.
Yes, sounds good.
DeSantis is
on me.
Chief advisors, Christine Pushaw.
But that wasn't why he was fired.
Yeah, so can you go into that a little bit more? I don't know.
I can. It was in response to me. It was something I posted, and he reacted to something that I posted. I put it in the nest.
What was the reaction? Just for the people that can't. Just listen audibly.
Sure. I mean, I editorialized it, so I'll try to be neutral here. He said you should ask me if I get paid to tweet, and if I deny it, then you should ask me if DeSantis pays me. Then you should ask me if his PACs pay me, or anyone related to him pays me. And even though he knows that I'm not paid, and then I said, Gavin, I'm on my LinkedIn, so what?
So essentially what happened is there was a guy that worked for the Babylon Bee that got fired because he was too pro-Trump and not, I think, like pro-Trump and not too, like, and he said things like he supported Trump instead of DeSantis. Is my understanding of what happened.
Am I responsible for my actions, for the actions of my former employer? Sorry. Am I responsible for the actions of a former employer, someone I met maybe 5 times in my life? Are you trying to accuse me of something, you schmuck? And apparently Christina liked that. And then he said, he sent some more tweets. And then Seth said, don't do that. And then Gavin quote tweeted him and said something, I forget what that was. And then he was relieved of his duties.
Matt. Well, didn't he say it was the language? Didn't Seth say it was like the language necessarily?
Hang on a second. The tweet that's posted at the top here, I think you wrote, I don't know who you are, Max, but you wrote, got a paycheck from international criminal Miles Guo. You do know he hasn't been prosecuted of anything, right? You know that's slanderous, right?
Is that slanderous, Max?
Has he been arrested?
Yeah, that doesn't
Thank
make you a criminal.
Sam.
You know that, right?
Okay.
Thank you, Sam. Sam says, Gavin Wax, president of the New York Young Republicans Club, asked Christina Pushaw, who is Ron DeSantis's communications director, what the fuck is your problem, when she accused him of committing crimes. I mean, I think that actually sounds like a pretty fair response, if I'm honest about it.
Sebastian knows everything, Max. I mean, this guy is.
Can we get rid of Chris? Can we get?
He wants rid of me. You
can we just get rid of this guy?
You blocked me.
Chris, let's keep some decorum.
All right, can I go here really quick? Hey, because I don't have much time.
1 second, Chris. One second, Chris. I just want to go to Chief just to give a different perspective, because that was Max's perspective from his side. I know Chief wrote a thread as well, so I'd just like to hear his perspective as well, and that we have a bit of a balance about what happened, and then we can start the debate. Chief, go ahead.
Yeah, so for context, so Max did put that tweet out, and Christina was liking those tweets.
Got no sound here.
Yeah.
Okay, Sebastian, I'll drop you down and bring you back up.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah.
Chief.
So basically, she was liking the tweets, and a lot of employees in the past at Babylon Bee have used expletives and other slurs like that, and this is while they were actually employed. So, for instance, there is a tweet from one of the employees at Babylon Bee saying, "I don't give a F" about Ashley Babbitt. Other tweets also surfaced with, F off, all these things. So there have been employees who currently work at Babylon Bee who have been cursing, have been using slurs and other language like that. So the reason why Gavin was reacting this way was that Christina was liking tweets insinuating some sort of criminal thing or whatever, which is totally wrong. And it was really just a stupid tweet where we're saying, well, Gavin gets a check from someone. It was a stupid tweet, and she was liking it and all of that, endorsing that language. So he called her out, said, "What are you doing?" And basically, Seth, despite
what was the exact phraseology of his
it was with a curse
of
word.
his?
It had it had an F word in it. So
I read that.
yeah.
It wasn't that bad. Like, if you want to read it, have you got it
Yeah,
in
I
front of you?
do.
Because I
I can
think
go
contextually, when you explain it, it sounds much worse. When I read the tweet, I was like, "What? He got fired for that?" But anyway, if you want to read it,
yeah. So the tweet there, it says here. Sorry, I literally just had up 2 seconds ago. Yeah, it said, "Hey Christina, what's your effing problem?" That's what.
And then the Babylon Bee fired him for that.
Right. So, he tweets that out, and because he used a curse word apparently or whatever, the language wasn't too acceptable for his standards. He goes and subtweets Gavin saying, "I don't like your tone" or whatever. And Babylon Bee's Seth Dillon said in the past that's okay to defend yourself, and if you're worried about being fired from a tweet, do it anyway. And then said another tweet in the past that it's okay to defend yourself on Twitter. So with all these double standards, I'll wrap it up really quickly. With all the double standards we've gone with Babylon Bee, it's clear that one, Seth Dillon has said in the past that it's okay to defend yourself on Twitter, and if you're at risk of being fired, he said to do it anyway. So number two, employees at that place use curse words, use slurs, and things of that nature. So it's ridiculously hypocritical for them to fire him over a crass word when they do all the time in the past. And
that's not according to Seth. So I recommend Suleiman and Nick, you reach out to him now. So as soon as I saw
to clarify,
okay, good.
One second, Chris.
Hang on.
Okay.
As soon
real quick.
as soon as I saw the news, I reached out to Seth because he's been on my show, and I said, "Is this true?" And he gave me a long DM about what his reasons are, and it's not about curse words. So I would say before we go further, have Gavin, have Seth, have people actually know what they're talking about, give their sides of the story.
Okay. Thank you, Sebastian.
I neutrally.
Sorry, guys. We've invited Seth and the gentleman who got fired as well. So yeah, hopefully they'll be coming. Definitely the guy.
If anybody does know Seth that is in the audience, definitely give him a shout. Tell him
I'll send him the link now.
All right, yeah, bring Seth.
I think we agree. I think we generally.
I agree with you, Sam. I'm on your side on this.
Things that happened. The question then goes to like the motive behind the ultimate decision, but I don't think there's too much agreement on the regression event. It's not a terribly complicated series of events.
Matt, I'm cutting here for a minute. I don't have.
Sorry, guys. I want to go to Chris. Chris, let me go to you. And let me ask you a question, and then you can add your bit as well, Chris. Chris, one of the insinuations or one of the concerns people from the Trump side have is Babylon Bee is being funded by DeSantis, and essentially this was a hit job by the DeSantis team. Chris,
nobody on the DeSantis team made Gavin Mario Wax have a childish meltdown on Twitter and embarrass himself. And I think we're not looking at the big story here. These people like Gavin Mario Wax, like the MAGA Johnny and all these other people have been talking smack nonstop for 6 straight months. And Christina Pushaw has kept her mouth, has stayed back, and the team DeSantis has stayed back. Now, all of a sudden, after just one day, and she didn't even hit him hard. Come on. I mean, this is like funny stuff here, and they just can't take it. They have this whole meltdown, and they're crying about being doxxed, and oh my goodness, Team DeSantis is so mean to us, and Christina is so mean, and we can't believe it. And these are all men, and it's really sad to see what MAGA men have turned into, because they're really being a bunch of babies. They've been doing nothing but attacking, and then Christina comes and finally the gloves are off a little bit. She barely taps them and they're all crying. And then she gets all these people, instead of being an actual man, which I've screwed up before, and I apologize when I mess up. But instead of being an actual man about it and being like, okay, you got under my skin a little bit, he starts this Me Too style campaign where he's got all these other guys that are like that guy in Grassa, and all these other guys are like, I stand with Maria, or I stand with Gavin, like some kind of like Me Too thing. And this is just embarrassing. Watching them play the victim. Look, just take responsibility. This shows Trump never takes responsibility for what he does. These are Trump's disciples. They don't take responsibility for anything they do. And, it was just kind of funny that they couldn't even handle, like, what was it, like 26 hours of Christina Pushaw before these men, they all basically got beat up by a girl and started crying about it.
So you're saying we're allowed to go and defend ourselves, right? You're saying we have if we're playing equal playing ground here, we're able to respond to a person who likes a tweet that insinuates that someone's a criminal. We're okay to defend ourselves, right?
Well, you can defend.
I think we're kind of getting off topic here.
Max,
it seems a little disingenuous to me to say that they fired Gavin over saying the F word. Just a little disingenuous.
He was fired after he
Wait,
flexed.
Max, I'm trying to explain that Chris is saying this whole thing about crying or whatever. We're playing an equal playing field here. We have the ability to go and defend ourselves, and for Gavin to defend himself in a tweet. You can go and say boo-hoo all you want, but we're playing equal playing field here. If she does something like liking a tweet, calling you a criminal, or insinuating that, he can just say what's going on with that. And if you use the expletive and she didn't like the expletive too much, or Seth felt like a snowflake too much, didn't like the curse word, or how you want to phrase it, I don't really attribute that. But he has the ability to defend himself, just as she has the ability to go and maybe snarky comments. So when he hits back, he gets fired. So your argument's kind of a bit flawed in that sense.
Well, look,
yeah, I mean, Max, let me bring Chris 1 second.
He got fired.
Chris, I need to go to somebody else. Max, let me ask you this, because you were basically the star point of this issue. I mean, I don't understand Chris's argument, because essentially this isn't someone being able to take it. If anything, wasn't this a case that essentially the guy who defended himself, he used a slur word, but essentially he got fired? So isn't it that the DeSantis camp are more thin-skinned and they don't want anyone to say anything to them? If they do, get fired.
So here's what happened. And again, you can't read Seth Dillon's mind. You can't read Seth Dillon's mind, but like the progression of what happened was that Gavin said what he said to Christina. Seth had to cut it out, and then Gavin quote tweeted Seth and said something aggressive. I don't know.
That happened afterwards, though, didn't it, Max?
But
but Max, that didn't happen.
I'm not saying that this is.
Max, sorry, that didn't happen, did it? What happened was, I know your incident happened first. Then he wrote that tweet to Christian Pershaw and said, "What the F," or whatever the word was. And then Seth Dillon then responds and says, "Take Babylon B out of your bio," essentially saying you're fired.
No. That's not the total.
Right?
That's not the progression.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please go ahead.
Oh, well, Seth's here. So yeah, no, but I mean, I'll just lead into it because Seth's not here. But no, what happened was he said, "What the fuck," and then Seth disputed that, and then Gavin quote tweeted Seth and said, "I forget," and then Seth said, "Take it out of your bio." So, but now we have Seth here, so he can.
Let's go to Seth. So sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Seth, welcome to the panel. I want to ask you,
Seth Dillon, Babylon B CEO.
Give me your thoughts on the entire situation. We've kind of gone over it a little bit.
Funded by DeSantis.
No, I just joined, so I don't know what you guys have said up to this point.
Well, we just started, Seth. We're just trying to find out what happened. I mean, is it a situation where there was a form of censorship going on? Like, what was the reason why it seemed to the public that you fired him based on that using that slur word? So please correct us and let us know, like, what was the situation.
I wouldn't describe it as a situation where censorship occurred. I think this is a case where we have somebody who has the Babylon Bee in their bio, is an employee of the Babylon Bee. He was running our marketing campaigns and was engaging in really nasty public behavior. He was demeaning people, calling people fat, calling them names, cursing, a lot of vulgarity, a lot of vile stuff that just reflects very poorly on us. I don't want people. We're a Christian satire site. I don't want people out there talking to other people like that with our name in their bio. And I strongly object to that. And when in addition to that, it goes a lot deeper than that. There's other issues at play. I can't speak to all of it, but it's public record how many times this guy tweets during the day. I was paying him to tweet, essentially, and paying him to tweet nasty things. I don't think I have any obligation to continue doing that any longer than I want to. So
Seth, one of the biggest counter arguments to this situation is that you have also tweeted vulgar things in the past. Some of those tweets have surfaced. I mean,
Exactly.
this
They only
the
don't like it
argument,
when it's
maybe you
inconvenient
can
for them
clarify the
or
difference
convenient for
between
them to
that
like
and
it
what we
or
saw
to not like it.
Sure.
There we
Yeah.
go. You guys know what I'm
I've
saying.
seen some of the tweets that people are screenshotting. They looked up the word shit apparently on my page. Advanced Twitter search brought up a few tweets where I was quoting people who had said the word shit, and in quotation marks I quoted them multiple times. I don't think that's the same thing as spending my entire day on someone else's payroll trashing other people with vile language. Do you think that's the same thing?
Well, so what I will do is, I believe you're referring to Tara, who is up on stage. So I'll let Tara jump in there. Go ahead, Tara.
I honestly am just curious. It seems that, from my perspective and watching all of this unfold, that Gavin was more so defending himself against a lot of the Babylon Bee employees who were piling on to a tweet by Max here on stage, who was claiming that he was involved with some illegal, nefarious activity. So
What
in turn,
Babylon
he
Bee
defended
employees?
himself.
Which Babylon Bee employees? I'm not aware of any of that. I didn't see any other Babylon Bee employees.
Christina
She is
was
not a Babylon Bee
liking
employee.
the
She's not
comment.
a Babylon Bee employee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, my bad. I'm
She's
sorry.
a
I was under the
yeah. She's
impression
a
that she worked for you
DeSantis
guys.
campaign staffer.
Right, correct. So
Can
she was
someone please
piling
ask
on.
him if
He
he's funded
defended
by
himself
DeSantis?
against her. You in turn defended her, and then fired him publicly. Didn't reprimand him privately? Conducted yourself in a very public way to make a sort of display, an example out of Gavin, is how it seems.
Yeah, I didn't defend anybody. I just really quickly going back to that issue of I've used vulgarity. I mean, I explained, it was kind of glazed over, but I just explained that these were tweets where I was quoting somebody else who was using curse words.
Several Babylon Bee employees do use vulgarity constantly. There are plenty of screenshots out there, and they do have the B, on their profile. One account, MJ, I believe her name is, even has the F word in her header. So, I mean, I don't know. It seems sort of like a double standard.
Yeah, well, but I respond. The question that was asked of me was my own vulgarity. I'm a hypocrite because I use vulgarity, and I was firing this person for vulgarity. It's not merely vulgarity, by the way. I never said, "Hey, you're fired because you said a bad word." When did I say that? I never said that.
Does the Babylon Bee?
He did say that. I saw him say that. That's bullshit.
Does the
I saw him
Babylon
say
Bee
that.
actively get money from the DeSantis campaign?
Thank you.
No.
Have you gotten
No, the screenshots that everybody shares, including I believe Tara, who made a big deal out of this. You guys love to just crop out dates, don't you? The screenshots that are going so viral.
I took what was given to me.
I know.
I
Yeah,
didn't
you don't
anything.
ask questions. You just share it. I know.
The Babylon Bee is a victim, guys.
The screenshots that everybody loves to share are from 2021. DeSantis was running for governor and was renting our list, like he rented everybody's list. He spent a hell of a lot more with Daily Wire.
But here's the thing.
It's turned into this big story because
I have a
everybody
question.
cropped off the dates and is suggesting that we're actively being paid by DeSantis to promote DeSantis and tear down Trump. Look at our website yesterday. We made fun of DeSantis twice just yesterday. Where are you guys sharing those screenshots? Where are those?
So you haven't gotten
I have a
any money
question.
from
that seemed more like coddling.
One second, guys. So Seth, I've got a question for you because the issue is this. Like, we saw the tweet that he did where he said, "What the f, Christina," and then immediately after that, as a response, you said, like, "Take the Babylon Bee out of your bio." Now, if there was a lead up to the situation or lead up to the event of this event occurring, have you got some kind of paperwork to show that you basically had conversations with him in the past? If he's tweeting regularly and these incidents are happening on a regular basis, have you got like a file on him that he's been doing this? You've had regular conversations, or was
That's
this
an
the first
adult
time
question to
said,
ask
"Get
right
that
there.
out your bio, you're fired"? Essentially, you're saying you're fired, Seth.
Oh, my mic was turned off.
Oh, sorry, because they were all talking at the same time. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into a lot of the nitty-gritty details of a person.
Hang on. Who cares what these people think? These people are the ones who are going to be shilling for Trump or DeSantis, conversely, for the entire next year. And as scary as this is, these people could decide the outcome of the Republican primary. That's why we listen to what they have to say. This is what keeps us ahead of what's going on.
Matter. I'm going to talk about what's happened publicly, and that's all I can talk
Why
about.
did you
And I don't think my lawyers would advise me to talk about anything beyond what's happened publicly.
So,
But
Hey guys,
there
I
is
gotta run.
there has been, as I mentioned, it is
if
public record.
Gavin
You can go. I'm still talking.
I
I'm still
have one
talking.
last question
I'm still
for Seth.
Mario.
One
Can I
second,
continue
let
to?
Seth finish. Let Seth finish.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Seth.
Seth, go ahead, please. You can unmute your mic.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's very public how often he was tweeting. You can go look at the kinds of things that he was saying. I mean, clearly this was not a single tweet that I was objecting to, and I never said I was objecting to a single tweet. So, a lot of people are reading into things and they're making things up and they're sharing stuff that just isn't true. So I'm happy to kind of clear the record on that, and I'll be very forthright in answering questions that I can about what happened publicly, but not, the details of an ongoing personnel matter.
You did say
If he was,
okay.
excuse me, if I could just ask one thing. If he was a DeSantis supporter, would he have been fired on the spot, very publicly on display the way you did?
Oh, sure.
Nonsense.
Yeah, his behavior is vile. I don't care who he supports. Like I said, I tweeted about this. You guys can see my own Twitter page. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who you support. I don't even know who most of my employees vote for. A lot of them, I'm sure, voted for Trump. I know for a fact a few of them did. Several of them are libertarians and didn't vote in the last election. I don't give them a hard time about that. I don't consider them betraying Trump or betraying DeSantis. I don't care if who he votes for or what he says. If he's out there behaving in a way that is just vile and disgusting and reprehensible with the Babylon Bee in his profile, I'm going to find that objectionable. And I have every right to. I think you would too if he was representing your corporation. I mean, it's ridiculous. Our tagline was your trusted source for Christian news satire. And we have people out there calling, Jenna worked for Trump a long time ago. She represented him. He's calling her fat.
Oh, shit.
Christ divorce.
Guys, James O'Keefe is doing a private subscriber-only Twitter space at 7 p.m. Does anyone want me to stream that? Let me know.
Forced and overweight. He'd never touch her. That kind of stuff is nasty. I don't want people like that representing me.
I hope other employees will be held to
do any
the
other
same
women feel the
standard.
same way? I mean, do other women here? Do you
Jenna
think that
Ellis went around calling Carrie Lake a grifter and saying her keynote speech at CPAC was lackluster and cringe. So
Jenna Ellis does not work for me, and I'm not defending Jenna Ellis. She doesn't work for me.
Can I say something?
These are men. These are men bullying women. Okay, this is what the.
Can I please chime in here?
One second, guys.
Okay. I can become a subscriber very, 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 very easily. Very easily. And then we could go right into Timcast. Why don't we think about that?
Chris, please. I need let's finish this. But Chief, did you have a question? Because I think Chief, you brought up a thread where other employees of Babylon Bee had made similar comments. Is that the case?
Yeah, so here's the thing. So the issue, what I'm saying is a bit of a double standard, is there are employees that were working at your place at the exact same time. They're working at your place. They had Babylon Bee. One of them was employed in March 2021 and said, I don't give a F about Ashley Babbitt, talking about that. So I have the receipt here too, and the tweet's still up. You can go look at it for yourself. The tweet itself from Morgan says, I don't give a F about her. She was warned many times not to proceed forward or she would be shot. And that callous language I didn't think was appropriate. And there was also other tweets too where she was saying,
yes,
I don't think
he
it
is
matters
going to be
much
on Tim
any
Pool
God
tonight. We're going to stream that
that'll
too.
the D word someone to hell or jeopardize their salvation for just getting water dumped
I just
on them
subscribed
twice,
to James O'Keefe.
and proclaiming their faith is not a God I will follow. So there are tweets out there from employees, and there's more I found too with F languages being used. So because you made the assertion that his behavior was bad in public, right? And if you're making that assertion, then you can apply that same standard to other people who have used curse words or slurs on Twitter frequently when they're employed by you. So that's kind of the point about the double standard. If it's something internal where you can't talk about some performance thing, that's one other whole issue, which you're not going to talk about on a public space for sure. But there are employees for sure that you have and were working at you with you at the time that were saying expletives, slurs, and things of that nature. So that's the point about double standards. And if you're going to hold Gavin to the standard, he's tweeting too much, he's called someone fat or whatever, Okay, then, but what about the tweet about Ashley Babbitt and the effing her death, pretty much, and not caring much about that? Because Jantic is a big issue for me. So
Yeah, I saw.
Seth, go ahead.
Can I reply really quick?
Yeah. No. I want you to reply. Take your time though, so you can say what
Sure. So, yeah, there have been. I saw a lot of screenshots. Some of the screenshots that were shared were of tweets that current employees of mine tweeted before they became employees of mine and before they were representing the Bee publicly. So that was one thing that I saw going on a lot. Some of the ones that you referenced were tweeted by people who do currently work for the Bee, and were tweeted while they do work for the Bee, and I do find that objectionable. Whether
fire them publicly?
whether it rises to the level where they need to be let go is a determination that I have to make. But like I said before, I hate to have to repeat myself, but I said before, this was not about the fact that he used a curse word in a tweet. It goes way deeper than that. I mean, this is a pattern of a person who spends his entire day attacking people online with vile and vulgar language.
You support people who do that all the
in his
time.
bio. And it goes far above and beyond anything I've seen from other employees of mine. But there is a conversation to be had about how people with the Bee in their bio who work for the Bee represent themselves online, and we need to start having those conversations apparently internally.
So the question, but here's the thing too, because you said there's a long pattern of this. You're kind of making a statement that Gavin's been on Twitter a lot and he's tweeting this stuff out. Like, as an employer, like when you have a person that's doing this and you say there's a problem and it's going on for like a month or something, like, shouldn't there be some internal discussion where you at least pull this? Maybe there was, maybe you can't confirm or deny or whatever if it's internal, but shouldn't you be able to pull them aside and say, hey, could you hold back on this, or hey, do this? And instead of saying that this is going on for a long time, if there were no internal discussions about this or anything like that, I think that it would be better to have those privately. And I understand that he made a tweet that kind of broke the camel's back in your I guess in your eyes about referring to Christina, but still, like, that tweet that was going on in that context, he was being kind of.
Did you hear how he responded when I said I didn't like him tweeting like that?
Yeah, I saw that response.
It's not like he responded in some way. And he actually at one point tweeted that I fired him for showing dignity, and I find that astonishing.
I mean, do you understand where he's coming from, though?
I mean, Seth, like, from his perspective, though, he essentially is getting attacked.
I agree with you,
He's
Sam.
getting attacked in such a vile manner, actually, basically accusing him of being in cohorts with criminals or whatever it may be. He literally makes that comment in defense. I thought that's quite bland, actually. Someone
Yeah,
accused me of
like
that.
I said, he spends his day attacking people
Autumn, that
while
happened
working
a long
on
time
my
ago.
while
Where
I'm
were
paying
you?
him
That
instead of
happened a
working.
long-ass
He's
time
tweeting
ago.
250 times plus per day, attacking people with the Babylon Bee in his bio.
So why do you?
It's not even a question.
Why do you?
I should not be employing that. I don't want
himself though. Why didn't you fire him when he called Jenna fat? Why did you wait until he was defending himself against these accusations?
I don't see the relevance of that question. I decided I no longer wanted this person to be an employee of mine.
It's incredibly relevant because it undermines your entire case, Seth, for why you are firing Trump supporters, because you're saying it was because of behavior that you didn't want to tolerate, but you've been tolerating that behavior for a really long time.
So I fired him.
Can you name the people who are talking about other people who have done stuff like who have
I want to go back very quickly to the question of hold on. I want to go back for a second to this question.
Sorry, Seth. I was trying to mute everybody else. Go ahead. Sorry, Seth. Unmute and then go ahead.
Yeah, I want to go back to this question of would I have done this if he was a DeSantis supporter? And nobody responded to my answer there. I said yes, I would have. The narrative that's out there, what everybody's trying to say is that we're on DeSantis's payroll. We're paid shills for DeSantis. We make jokes at Trump's expense, but not at DeSantis's. That's false. You can check our website. We make jokes at DeSantis' expense. I would have fired him if it was a Trump person that he was attacking from the DeSantis side. I don't care. This was not a political move. It had nothing to do with this person's politics, nothing whatsoever to do with that. It has to do with the fact that I don't like how he's comporting himself and conducting himself in the public eye with the B in his bio. And that's my decision. That's my decision alone to make.
This would have been maybe more, because it looks like this is a little bit of a PR nightmare right now too. If you could go back, do you wish you would have handled this privately, even if you did fire him on the spot? Do you think that would have been a better way to do it rather than have this firestorm. I'm assuming you didn't see that
I
coming.
actually, this has happened before with other people I've had to let go, and their behavior after they were let go only validated that the decision was right. So, and we came out stronger and better for it on the other end by not having them on the team. So, no.
But Seth, like, do you understand from people's perspective? You basically fired him publicly in a specific context where he's defending himself. Like, I understand if he was attacking someone, or you've got a zero policy, like you're not allowed to say mean tweets.
I didn't
whatever.
look at I don't think the context matters. I think that the pattern of behavior was there, well established, and I'd had enough. I don't think the context matters.
But how does the context not matter? The context is everything. Like, when you do something in a specific context, that's actually what matters. And in this context, he was essentially defending himself. Like, if he was actually being violent in this context, being abusive proactively in this context, I think people would have been less shocked. But
I want you to go back and look at his 250 plus tweets he sent the day before. How many times was he defending himself versus insulting and attacking people with nasty violent language?
Yeah, but you waited to fire him.
You tell me, Seth. I mean, you tell me, Seth. Like, when you've gone through his tweets,
guys, this is the shifting of the goalposts. It's like 1 minute it's okay.
I want to point out that this might sound ridiculous that we're even listening to this, but these are the people who are working for Trump and or DeSantis in real life. These are the Trump influencers versus the DeSantis influencers, and this is what they're arguing about. And this is real, guys. This is what it is like behind the scenes with these people. And I think it's important that you understand this. This is the state of the conservative right. Yeah, we're going to stream that. I've already subscribed to James O'Keefe's Twitter feed. And you know what? Listen, if James O'Keefe has feelings about the fact that I'm going to stream his private Twitter feed, which no one fucking tell him. Like, I am like such a like, it doesn't even matter. He won't even know. He doesn't even know who I am. Like, I am a minnow in the ocean, you know. But like, honestly, he should be suspecting that people are going to stream his like Twitter space. He is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to listen to James O'Keefe's Twitter space at 7 p.m. and then we're going to go right into Timcast. Okay, I'm literally setting up the stream right now, so we're gonna listen to this in the meantime because I actually do want to listen to this. But that is the plan for the night, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. But what do you guys think? This is the conservative elite. Truly, let me know what you guys think.
You're working on behalf of DeSantis. Now you're nitpicking like the context and whether he was defending himself. What's the real problem? What's the real focus on one problem and stick to it?
Seth, do you remember saying if you're afraid you might get fired for speaking your mind, the solution is to speak your mind anyway? If no one is willing to take that risk, nothing is going to change. Yes, I realize this is easier said than done. Courage is always more difficult than cowardice. That goes without saying. Do you remember tweeting that?
Yes, I do. And I still believe that that's an awesome tweet. Very brilliant.
Yeah, I do too. I agree. And that's why you've gained so much support, and your being banned and censored by, old Twitter was a big reason why you guys gained so much support.
Do you think that based on what I've described?
I'm not done speaking, Seth, just a moment. Also, Trump and his support for you guys, I guess that's why we're all a little bit blindsided by the way you've handled this situation and censored one of your employees who is, an outspoken Trump supporter while defending, a DeSantis campaign manager, and also documentation of you guys accepting money from DeSantis.
I already said this is not about Trump DeSantis. Why are you going back to that?
It is about Trump DeSantis.
Because you did say if you're afraid you might get fired for speaking your mind, the solution is to speak your mind anyway. And is that not what Gavin did?
No, it's not what Gavin did. Gavin was a jerk all day long while I was paying him to do work for me. He was tweeting. I was paying him to tweet mean things to people while representing the Babylon Bee.
Yeah,
that is not the same as just saying. That is not the same as just speaking your mind.
Himself. That's what you're not owning up to the fact. If somebody,
I would never fire somebody for sharing.
If somebody accused you of something that you didn't do, and they did it publicly on a social media platform that is now dubbed the new public forum. Like, if somebody was accusing you of stuff, are you not going to get defensive and snap back? And to Dr. Gorka's point, like, if this is all stemming from Miles Guo, who's still innocent until proven guilty, then he has every right anyway to defend himself. You know, and it's just sort of like
Well,
you
you
can
should,
say,
as a good employer, defend your employee as well. Sorry, Heather, I just want to add that in there.
yeah.
As a good employer, you would defend your employee for being
All right,
falsely accused as well.
let Seth answer. So Seth, go ahead.
So a couple of things. On the quote again, this idea that that I'm contradicting myself because I'm saying that people should be able to speak freely, and you should do it anyway, even if it means you might pay a price, you might get fired, whatever. I'm talking about expressing yourself. I'm talking about sharing your opinions. I've never have and never will fire someone for expressing an opinion that I don't like. That's not what happened here. So you can try to put it in those terms. You can try to say that, oh well, I'm a DeSantis guy. Those are your words, not mine. I'm a DeSantis guy, and he's a Trump guy, and I don't like that he's going after DeSantis people. He's speaking his mind. I don't want him to be able to do that, so I'm going to censor him. First of all, I didn't take away his voice. He's still tweeting. He's not censored. He's speaking more now than ever. He's tweeting even more than he did while I was paying him to work. So he still has his voice. His voice hasn't been taken away in any way. And so, it's just ridiculous to suggest that I've censored him. I've simply said, look, I don't want you representing our company anymore. You're a jerk online. You say mean things to people. You use bad language when doing it. And I don't want you representing the B anymore. And I can't emphasize enough that that's the reason that this happened.
So
I mean, let me just ask Tara. Tara, like,
does anybody here think that that's reasonable, or no? It's like,
I mean,
is this
Seth,
is this just a cult crowd?
No, Seth. I think it's reasonable.
I'd like to chime in.
I think it's reasonable to essentially have a policy, being a Christian organization or a monotheistic organization, to have nobody who basically is disrespecting people, swearing online. Like, I respect those perspectives and ideologies. Like, that's brilliant. Where I guess what the question comes now, that now you fight this
The thing
guy
they're worried
for
about the most is
essentially
people
doing
swearing online.
Are
This
you
is
going to be
true.
consistent now? So if any one of your employees
God.
acts in a similar manner, and I guess what the similar manner is going to be, because your argument is the volume is the thing that made him get fired, and not the specific.
I would say the spirit much more than the volume, the spirit much more than a specific word. I've sure employees of mine have said shit before. I didn't fire them for that. I said it just now. That's not hypocrisy. The spirit of it much more. Like I said, he spent his whole day while on payroll attacking people in a mean-spirited manner, and I don't like that. So, and no, none of my other employees do that. And if one of them does, we'll have an issue.
So when Morgan tweets out, this is this is her tweet from Jan 6, 2022, and when she was an employee at the time, and she's still there, I believe. I don't give a F about her. She was warned many a time not to proceed forward or she would be shot. Talking about Ashley Babbitt. What's about Babylon B's take on Jan 6 and all of that? That tweet
That's a good question.
is, I think, extremely mean-spirited. And I don't want people to be fired for tweets. I don't want that. But if we're playing the same, if it's the volume, okay, then it's the volume. We're saying it's the spirit of tweets. So there are tweets out there like that one and other ones from that account that are mean-spirited, and they say F off to people. You want anything about me, F off.
They're arguing over swear words.
Through,
That's exactly right.
The point is, if it's a mean-spirited thing,
that will
then
save
okay,
us all
we can go through
are arguing
and look
over
through.
swears.
Yeah, I don't like that. And employees of the B who have the B in their bio shouldn't be speaking that way.
No.
She has the right to her opinion. I think she has the right to her opinion. I don't think that she should be either vulgar or attacking people all day long while they're supposed to be working. An occasional tweet that uses profanity, like in my case where I was quoting someone who used profanity, to try to bring that up as an example of how I'm guilty of the same thing that Gavin was doing is kind of absurd. I don't mind if my employees are in debates with other people. I don't mind if they sarcastically or flippantly troll other people. We do that a lot. It's fun and entertaining. It isn't always done with a mean spirit. But
attacking a woman who died and can't defend herself is pretty disgusting behavior, in my opinion.
Who did that? I'm sorry.
So Morgan. I have the receipt here. I'm reading this directly from the thread. But
so wait, are you guys saying that I should be? Are you saying I should censor and fire all of my employees?
No.
Consistency, Seth.
But what I'm saying.
Can I read a tweet?
Let me just one second, guys, 1 second. Also, I think you've got a question, and then I'm gonna go for it. Also.
Yeah, no. So I think Just Seth, just understand. This is Babylon B is your company, correct? It is a private company that is yours, and you control who you hire or fire, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I just find it that this whole conversation from people who are all about private business and flipping out.
Listen, just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now, I don't know Gavin Wax. I don't really care about him. I don't think he's someone that I would get along with at all. I'm not defending him in any way. The point of this is that Ron DeSantis is funding the Babylon Bee, who is now firing people who support Trump instead of DeSantis and making excuses for it and creating entire conservative fucking melees over swear words. And these are the conservatives who are going to save us all.
I mean, Seth, as the owner, said this person, because of my opinions, crossed the line that represent negatively my company. As such, that person no longer works. And it's a private company. And if Seth wakes up one day and says, I want to be insulting everybody or not, I mean, it's his company. And
Seth isn't within the full right to do whatever Seth wants with his company. But just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I think this comes down to, it's a good point. I think this comes down to politics here. It's, if I had fired someone who is a DeSantis supporter for being vulgar towards some Trump campaign person, everybody that's objecting right now would be cheering me on, and everybody here knows it.
So we're not asserting that. We're not asserting this. The point is that we're not disputing the fact you're a private company. You're the boss. You can do whatever you want.
You all know it, guys. You all know it.
I'm not disputing the fact that you can go and fire an employee. I don't think anyone here is saying you cannot physically do that. You legally are able to most of the time. There are exceptions, of course. But the point is, if you're saying that the mean-spirited tweets are what got Gavin fired, what's more mean-spirited than saying I don't give an F about Ashley Babbitt, who is in Jan 6, like that?
Well, can I hate Chief?
You guys are assuming that I've seen all of these tweets that you're bringing up. I don't comb through and dig through and monitor and police my employees' tweets all
No
the
one's
time.
assuming. That's why we're informing you.
The point here is that you have you had to look for tweets from other people. I think this is the point that Seth's making. You have to look for individual one-off tweets from other people, whereas what Seth was observing was like a consistent daily pattern of behavior. And that was the problem, because you didn't know about what you were talking about, right?
Yeah, and I'm not excusing vulgarity on other people's behalf. Look, if other people are engaging in that kind of rhetoric online with a B in their bio, then I've got a problem with that too. So there are some conversations that need to be had there, sure, but not to anywhere near the extent that we had with this person.
Wait. The whole. I mean, let me ask a Trump like Tara. Tara, you obviously most likely believe that the reason why the firing occurred is because Babylon Bee has some kind of relationship with Ron DeSantis.
Yes.
I mean, am I right to think that that's your feeling?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So what is the
relationship? What relationship do we have?
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask.
He paid you money.
What relationship do they have?
In your imagination, what relationship do we have?
Well, there's documentation, and you just admitted live that you've received money from DeSantis. So there's that. Has Trump given you guys any money in the past or ever?
I told Trump that he could one-up DeSantis by spending twice as much with us, and I would welcome that.
Well, then maybe you would have kept his supporters on your payroll. But it does seem that there is a railroading going on. There's a definite, support for DeSantis, and if you don't, you're basically going to be, pushed out.
Again,
and gaslit and told that you're mean tweeting.
That's your imagination.
Seth, let me finish speaking, please. But it isn't mean tweeting.
Very rude and very
I've searched Gavin's tweets. He doesn't do that. You claim that he does all these things. Gavin's not even here to defend himself, which I would appreciate if he was invited.
He was invited.
Okay, great. So it would be awesome if he would come in and actually have a platform to defend himself and his good name. Good. Yeah, I think that he should come in and have the opportunity to do that. So, yes, absolutely.
Well, I'm here, and the accusation is that I'm working with DeSantis. I'm on his payroll. Yes, he rented our list in 2021. I would love for any candidates to, if he becomes the nominee or Trump becomes the nominee, I hope they spend money with us and reach more people through our audience. We need to defeat Biden in this next election. So. I would welcome that money, not just because it's profitable, but because it goes towards an important, impactful cause. It
Seth,
went towards
I
one
welcome you to share. I
when
welcome you to
DeSantis was
share
running
the
as governor.
tweets that Gavin.
Hold on. Can I say one thing? I'm trying.
No. I'm gonna let Seth finish. Sorry, I'm not gonna keep interrupting. Go ahead, Seth.
I'm not sure what I was saying. I guess I was speaking to the spend, the budget. You know, it's Governor DeSantis was renting our lists while running his campaign for re-election, and so I don't know why that's a problem when it's with the Babylon Bee. Why is it a problem? Why does that suddenly mean that we're compromised? It doesn't mean, as some have tried to imply, that we make jokes at Trump's expense but not his. It just means that we send emails on his behalf. That's all that means. And those
Your
the dates
jokes
were cut
at
off of that.
DeSantis' expense are coddling. You're literally coddling him.
What just happened? Why did it stop? Why did it stop? Am I still live on the internet? What is going on? Why did my internet just stop working?
You're actually,
Okay,
we're back. Picking at him like you guys do with Trump now, which you didn't before when you had all of his support. So
does
I don't
anyone
know,
else here think it's wild how worked up you all are? We're a satire site. We make jokes on the internet.
I just want to pipe in and say, Gavin will have a job in Congress if he wants it.
You guys are taking everything so seriously.
Yeah, I have a question.
We are.
Gavin
You
will have a
fired your
job in
employee.
Congress if he needs it. So we're going to look out for him. I stand with Gavin Wax.
Yeah, I have a question, Seth. Can I ask a quick question? Because Joel actually, Joel sent me a tweet that Seth had made right after January 6th, where Seth had actually said the MAGA assault on the Capitol and the left's assault on free speech are both bad. Then in this very space, Seth, you also mentioned the word cult and said basically anybody questioning you, are you part of some cult? Do you think MAGA is a cult? And do you believe that J6
That's clearly not what he said.
No, it was actually. Well, let him answer the question. Do you think MAGA is a cult? And do you believe the assault on the Capitol was orchestrated by Trump supporters and not by crooked January 6th police and other people on the inside?
That's a good question.
I don't think that MAGA as a whole is a cult. No, I think that there are people in both the DeSantis and Trump camps right now who are really nasty to the other side and are looking for any way that they can to attack them and belittle them. There are people who, if there's anything that you do, it's happening right now in this conversation, anything that you do that could possibly be perceived as support for DeSantis or not support for Trump means you must be attacked. You must be silenced. Everyone must unfollow you. I've been tagged in 1,000 posts today from people saying that they need to unfollow the bee because I'm a disimp. I'm a disimp. Well, that is just people acting in lockstep for political reasons without using their heads and thinking or asking any critical questions. Fortunately, there's a conversation that's being had right now, and I've been given a floor to talk and respond to some of this, which I appreciate. Thank you. But yeah, I think that there's crazies on all sides, both on the left and the right. There are people who act without thinking. There are people who are really nasty and unfair. This is politics. Unfortunately, politics is dirty. I would hope that Christians, people self-professed Christians, wouldn't behave that way and get into all of that with all the personal insults and the nastiness and the name calling. But it happens,
Seth.
and everything is treated as a betrayal. There are a lot of people in the Trump camp who will treat anything as a betrayal. I see a lot of them here listening. Some of them are listed as speakers. And it's not right. It's not right. People are free in this country to support and vote for whoever they want to. And there are people who will hear me say that and think that means I'm a DeSantis supporter. And that's exactly proving my point.
So do you think J6 was a MAGA assault on the Capitol?
He didn't answer the question.
Heather,
He didn't answer it.
I'd like to let me in real quick. Seth probably just directed a comment at me, and I've had nothing but a good relationship with Seth each time.
That's true.
We've met. I think you're a solid guy, and I'm going to give you the benefit and the doubt that you're not on DeSantis's payroll. Obviously, you've done business with him in the past, but there's people on DeSantis's team, such as Max Nordau, who make it their job to dox, troll, and harass anybody that is.
Wait, hold on. Correction. I don't work for DeSantis.
And so
hold on,
Max,
I need you to no, AB. I need you to retract what you just said. I don't work for him. I receive no money from him.
Are you going to retract what you said about Gavin that sparked this entire thing, Max? Are you going to retract that? Why should he have to retract what he just said?
What did I say that was incorrect?
Okay, please, Max. Can you let the adult speak?
No. And you
Anyway,
retract what you said. You just
so
lied about me. No.
so
You
so Max,
retract
so
what you
Max,
said. You
so
lied.
I
You said
sympathize.
I work for DeSantis.
I
I do not pay
sympathize
by
with Seth
DeSantis,
to an
which you
extent.
like to do.
Okay, yeah, we can't have people talking over each other here. I'm gonna let Alex finish. I will let you defend yourself, Max, but I gotta let Alex finish. Go ahead, Alex.
Thank you, Nick. But I do sympathize with Seth with the screenshot of the crop payment dates. You know, Team DeSantis likes to throw out this screenshot that I was paid $35,000 by Save America PAC in 2022 for projects related to different midterm election races. Had nothing to do with 2024, but Team DeSantis calls me the $35,000 man. In reality, they should be calling me the $3,500 man because after expenses and profit margin, and only 10% in profit margin off of Save America PAC.
This
So
is
I've
not
never
a
been paid by
serious
President Trump to support
political
him.
endeavor.
That's a dishonest talking point that comes
And
from
these are the people
the DeSantis camp
that are running
and
the conservative
Seth, I know that you're friends
political
with Jenna.
campaigns.
I think that you've privately expressed
This is not serious.
distaste for some of the comments that I've made towards your friend Jenna to mutual friends of ours,
Oh,
and you ultimately
God, we are
unfollowed me
so
on Twitter
fucked.
because of that. But Jenna has been spreading vicious lies about Trump supporters
Well,
for many
Jenna's a
months as
bitch
well,
as
and she goes
well.
unchecked. And
Jenna's
so,
a whole other piece of work.
for about a year and a half, DeSantis had this influencer army that was lying about Trump, attacking the MAGA movement, and about 7 months ago, Trump supporters started fighting back, and people don't like it anymore. And so, I think Gavin Wax is a good guy. I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt. And Seth, knowing you, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt as well. But it would be a lot more believable that this wasn't related to politics if Team DeSantis hasn't spent the last many months calling people's employers, flagging tweets of random people to their employers, calling clients, including clients of mine, encouraging them to end business relationships with me. And so the way that Team DeSantis acts is in a very mob-like fashion. And so, you know, it's very disappointing that you're in the middle of this now, that Gavin's in the middle of this now. I think this could all be avoided if
Ron DeSantis and his team are trying to cancel Trump supporters? Huh. All right.
Team DeSantis wasn't so nasty.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just respond really quickly. I mean, Alex, you and I have only ever had positive interaction. I don't think we've ever had a negative interaction. So I agree with that. I don't like seeing a lot of this stuff, this constant fighting, the accusations all day long, the political infighting that's going on from one side, lobbing bombs over at the other. If I unfollowed you, it's because I just don't like seeing that all day long. I could have muted you, I guess, but I don't like that. I didn't like it when Gavin was doing it either. I mean, it's just
they're complaining about Twitter.
Ultimately, what it comes down to is this idea that DeSantis team has this mob mentality, whatever. The Trump side has that too. You guys do that too. You guys, it happens to me. I'm on the receipt. You said you empathize with me. Well, it's happening to me too. It's not right when anybody does it on either side. I don't condone it on either side. Jenna doesn't work for me. I wasn't defending Jenna in any of those comments. I was addressing the behavior of a specific person. So it's the conversation about. Sorry, I got dogs coming out here. The conversation around which side is worse is not interesting to me. I voted for Trump multiple times. The country was better off when he was running it.
Rudy's on.
I'm good friends with people in the Trump family, and so this idea that I view MAGA as a whole as a cult, and I'm on DeSantis's team is just silly. I'm not bought and paid by DeSantis. I don't know why this is such this whole like I said before, the Babylon Bee is a satire site. We make jokes at everyone's expense. This idea that we're really hands off with DeSantis, but we go really hard on Trump. Like Trump is a fun guy to make jokes about, and he's always had a good spirit about it. We've been friends with the Trump family for a long time, and he's loved the Babylon Bee for a long time. So nothing has changed from our end in terms of our stance towards Trump or his family or his team at all. I'm talking about the behavior of specific individuals.
So we
there are documents claiming that you get paid.
1 second, Tara. Just to clarify, we have asked Gavin, because someone mentioned it earlier, we have asked him to come on. We actually invited him before we even invited Seth. He said he's going to try and come on, so he has been given the opportunity to give his side, and it's up to him if he wants to turn up or not.
I don't know that it would be appropriate for he and I to be going head to head in here. So when he gets on, I can get off and he can say his piece.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask really quick in regard to the payments that you received from DeSantis. There are documents that Laura Loomer has shared saying that it was more than just a list rental, that it was that you were being paid for consulting and speech/joke writing. Can you confirm or deny that?
You're talking about Laura Loomer? Is that what you said?
I'm talking about, more importantly, I'm talking about the payments that were received from Ron DeSantis. You claim it was just for list rentals, but she claims that you told her via text message, and there's documentation here that it was more than that. It was also payment from DeSantis's PAC for consulting and speech/joke writing.
Come on, Seth.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, I don't think you should listen to anything that Laura Loomer says.
He's not answering.
But,
so can you confirm or deny if that's true, or are you going to pass?
The payments that everybody is
Why couldn't he
sharing,
just
those
say
are from
no?
2021 and their list rental
That's
payments.
not an answer to the
Everybody
question,
cropped off
Seth.
the dates
He's
and
deflecting.
is trying to
He's
sell a
deflecting.
narrative.
He's
and we are not being
lying.
paid by DeSantis.
That's not what the question was, Seth.
Can I try bringing it back because
That was not the question. He dodged the question.
Yeah. So we'll go. Go ahead, and then I'm going to go also after that. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because the whole recovery points were being made before about what we were saying and insinuating. You said before it's not about the volume. You said it's about the spirit of things, and then later on you said you had a pattern of doing it. So like I'm kind of unclear if it's like a pattern or not, because you've said he was tweeting on your, you're paying him to tweet mean things, and then you said before that it's just the spirit of the tweets were the issue that was going on. Did you pull Messiah at any point before this and say, could you lay off the mean-spirited tweets? And I guess the other questions too, it's more so about Jan 6, because there are tweets from that one tweet talking about that the person doesn't give a F about Ashley Babbitt being shot. And that, I think, is the most mean-spirited thing ever. And I'm not saying that you have any knowledge of all the tweets your employees do. I'm not saying that you have you go through every single employee's Twitter and you read every single reply and quote tweet and like that they do. But now that you're aware of it, do you think that's like mean-spirited? And what are your thoughts about that?
I think he left as soon as Laura entered the chat.
He left as
I think Laura Loomer has a tendency to scare
he
people.
left as soon as I entered the chat, because that's what happens when you talk shit and then everybody blows my phone up. So if you're going to talk shit about me in a Twitter space, you better be able to, like have the balls to stay on so I can confront you head on.
Oh,
you know what I'm
Laura
going to do
Loomer.
tonight when I get home, because I'm out right now? I'm going to post all of the text messages that I have from Seth Dillon where he was blowing me up, acting like such a nice Christian boy. By the way, why is he pretending to be Christian when he's Jewish?
Did she
I have
actually
all the
do that?
screenshots of him saying that he's an Ashkenazi Jew, yet he pretends like Babylon B is a Christian site. So I'm going to...
We are not going to go into that. We are not.
Why
going to go into
not?
that part. I brought
He's
you
a
up
liar.
because you
Why
were
not?
attacked.
He's a liar. He's pretending to be a Christian.
Just so everyone knows, Laura Loomer works for the Trump campaign, okay? She's also just like, a crazy bitch. Crazy. If you never Laura Loomer is a crazy alt-right, crazy bitch. And she works for the Trump campaign.
And he has posts that he says he's Jewish. It's Babylon Be a Christian site, like they tell all their donors, like a satirical Christian site. Why is he LARPing? Just like he pretends that
I'm
he's
looking up
so
her Twitter
pro free
right now.
speech and that everybody should have the right to, say what they want to say, but then he's going to fire somebody for criticizing DeSantis. He lost his shit. I was in California at the time when I broke the story about him receiving money from DeSantis. And I woke up and I had text messages at 3:00 in the morning, like, fuck you, you're not a fucking journalist, you fucking bitch.
But Laura, let me ask you real quick. So
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Back real quick, and I will
Seth
let you
is
address
back.
your concerns here. I would rather.
Okay, I just want to know. Two things can be true at once. Laura Loomer can be a crazy bitch, and Laura Loomer can also be telling exactly the truth about Seth Dillon. Those two things can both be true. They can both be awful.
Well, I'm glad.
But I do want to ask you, like, is it?
I'm glad that he finally grew a pair of balls to come back and face me head on. Because if he's going to talk about me directly, then he should face me.
Sorry,
directly.
Laura, I've just added Seth back, so
we're not going to do the ad hominem attacks. But
give Seth a chance to defend himself because he was. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, sorry guys, I have a pretty bad connection, and I'm about to be heading into a dinner, so I can't stay much longer. But I wasn't bringing up Laura Loomer. Someone asked me about her, and I don't know what I missed.
You said that nobody should listen to anything I said.
You said no one should listen to anything Laura Loomer said.
I mean, it looks like
but we're not going to do ad.
It looks like President Trump. It looks like President Trump listened to what I said.
Well, I think Laura,
right?
I think
he even posted the receipts that I exposed. Right? It looks like President Trump listened. Meanwhile, you were trying to stab him in the back when you were having dinner with him while not disclosing the fact that you were on DeSantis's payroll. I mean, why don't you talk about that?
Was that before or after he unhired you?
Oh wow!
I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm not sure what
I'm going to do ad hominem attacks.
I'm not sure what I'm responding to.
President Trump never unhired me. He hired me in his office, and then disloyal leakers and staffers decided to run to the New York Times to plant a hit piece about me. So I don't know, like what? Like you're trying to like celebrate cancel culture and hit pieces by Maggie Haberman. Is that what you want to talk about, Seth? Because as far as I know, like I'm incredibly loyal and effective in my support for President Trump, and I think I'm the person who he ended up getting those expenditure reports from that show that you received over $21,000 from DeSantis, and then you photographed yourself at Mar-a-Lago with President Trump in an effort to make it seem like you're a Trump supporter. And then what? You're just not going to tell President Trump in his own home that you're working for DeSantis? So yeah, make fun of me all you want, but I sleep well at night knowing that at least I have my integrity and my loyalty.
I mean, Seth, go ahead, respond.
I'm not sure what there is to respond to. I mean, Laura's one of those. Laura's one of the people that I was talking about before, where all day long, all she does is talk about how she's loyal Loomer, she's loyal to Trump, she attacks anybody that she thinks is not in Trump's camp. She's hostile and she's nasty, and I don't follow her for the same reason I don't follow some other people who do the same thing.
I'm not hostile and nasty. I'm just factual.
So Laura, one second, guys. I just want to ask something to Seth, which you mentioned, and I do think he needs a chance to respond to it. One of the things Laura said when you dropped was that essentially you are not a Christian. You're basically using it as a grift to be able to get donations. You're actually Jewish, and so this is a lot of it's a scam. So I think you do need a chance to respond because this is a major space, like hundreds of thousands of people, maybe 400,000.
I think that says a lot more about her than me. On my mother's side, my mother's Ashkenazi Jewish. I'm like 60-something% Ashkenazi. So by blood, I'm Jewish. According to Jewish people, I'm Jewish. But I'm a Christian. I believe that Jesus Christ came and died for our sins and rose from the dead and paid the price for them that we can't pay ourselves. And for that reason, I have saving faith in Jesus Christ as my savior. I don't know why she would attack my religion. I don't know why that's relevant to anything.
I'm not attacking your religion. I'm just reading your direct tweets from Twitter. I just said it's really interesting how he says he's a Christian, but I'm looking at your tweets right now. Like, I just wanted you to clarify. I mean, if you converted, then that's your choice. I have no criticism for that.
What does this have to do with Gavin and the topic of this forum? Who's running the forum?
No, I was just pointing it out.
What did my tweets say that's inconsistent with my Christianity? I said I'm Jewish. I mean, I'm Jesus was Jewish. The Apostle Paul, who wrote half the New Testament, was Jewish.
This is really sleazy.
It's not relevant. Look, the only reason I brought it up was just to give Seth a chance because it would have made his organization look really bad, and so he had a chance to basically correct.
Is it bad if I'm Jewish?
No, that's not bad.
I'm Jewish. I don't have a problem with it. I'm Jewish myself. I just think it's interesting.
She made the accusation that you were grifting, you see. So
no, because
that's awful. What a sleazy thing. God.
Babylon B is constantly talking about how it's a Christian site and you don't use profanity. And one of the things that people were
so a Jew can't work there. Are you saying a Jew can't work at a Christian company?
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
What do you
say? So what are you?
Gavin Wax is Jewish, from what I understand. So. My point is I just think that Babylon B presents itself in a way that really isn't consistent with like the brand you guys are trying to sell. Like, whether
and how is that? How do we present ourselves?
Okay, so today, so you said in response to Gavin, right? You said, "Oh, that's really not acceptable. You can take the B out of your account now." And then I'll just read you one of your other tweets, since I'll pull it up for you, and you can see how inconsistent this is. You constantly talked about censorship and the woke virus and how people shouldn't be banned. You said in a tweet posted on August.
Yeah, we already went over this. We went over this
2020,
before you joined.
if you're afraid you might get fired for speaking your mind, the solution is to speak your mind anyway. If no one is willing to take that risk, nothing is going to change.
Yes, and I don't know what that has to do with my Jewish heritage or my Christian faith or the firing of Gavin, who was fired for his conduct.
I'm not criticizing you for being Jewish. I'm Jewish myself. So that's you're trying to play victim card right now, when I simply pointed out the fact that you said you're a Christian, but then I read your post that said you're Jewish. So I was just wondering which one was it?
Laura, can I ask you a
guys,
question?
what's going on? Is anyone else confused?
Yeah. So actually, Laura, I actually want to ask a question. Let me ask this question to.
Go ahead. Okay, so the issue is
Argument I was
this.
trying to ask earlier about
I mean,
Seth,
it's
but
irrelevant. I
because
mean,
of the
the
whole-
only reason I brought it to Seth was just so you had a chance to clarify. One second.
Yeah,
Aldo.
we really don't need to talk about it more. I just simply
Yeah, that's not
pointing out
relevant. Laura, the bit.
inconsistencies.
One second, Laura, 1 second. We've covered some of those texts you said. So if you've got something different to essentially ask in terms of,
I don't have
yeah,
anything else
just so
to
she can
ask.
hear my response to the
I don't have
inconsistency.
anything
Laura,
else to ask.
let me
Laura
respond.
never posted
I came
those
on to defend
text messages,
myself
by the
because
way. I
people
just
said
looked
that
at her whole Twitter.
you shouldn't listen to anything that Laura says. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm the one that broke the story about your expenditure reports. So I broke the story in February. So this isn't really new information. Like I said, there are several news publications that picked up the fact that I reported on it, and then President Trump even posted it on Truth Social. So I think that I have a right to comment on this, since you were talking about me and said that people shouldn't take anything that I said seriously. I'm the one that dug up those expenditure
I
reports.
don't. Okay, let me respond. Let me respond to a couple of things really quick. So the inconsistency was already dealt with. This is not an issue where someone gave an opinion and I didn't like their opinion, so I fired them. This is an issue of a repeated pattern of conduct that, I don't want somebody who is behaving that way representing my company with our name in their bio. I don't know what that has to do with my Jewishness or my Christianness or whatever point was trying to be made there, but that's ridiculous. As far as DeSantis goes, okay, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let him finish, Laura.
Yeah,
Laura,
you need
to let her finish, because then you both.
Yeah, you're trying to find inconsistency where there is none. There's such a thing as a Jewish Christian. Okay, deal with it. Now the other thing, this issue with DeSantis, I was recently at I was asked to speak at a press conference for DeSantis. He was announcing his digital Bill of Rights, and he asked me to speak about our experience with censorship, and I gladly did that. I'm happy to coordinate with my governor. I think he's a great governor. I like DeSantis a lot. I think he does a great job here in Florida. I think that most of the attacks that are lobbed at him from Trump's side are off base. And I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's done a great job here. So I've been proud to work with him in whatever capacity I've been able to. It's same with Trump. When Trump invited me to Mar-a-Lago, I was honored. It was one of the greatest nights of my life, getting to go there and have dinner with him. That was so unbelievably cool. And I proudly posted a picture of it. And I proudly posted that I was with DeSantis. I'm not ashamed to be affiliated with either of them. And I think it's insane that everybody acts like you're betraying one or the other of them by liking either or the other one of them. It's just absolute madness. You guys are crazy. And I'll make fun of you on the Babylon Bee for it.
The inconsistency, though, I was trying to. You laughed before I was able to ask or finish the question. The issue goes, before you said that it was not a volume issue of tweets, but because someone was mean-spirited. And now you're saying it was because of the
Vince,
volume,
this
but
is
you
a
referred
great
to in the
point.
past of a pattern of it.
Great
So
point.
you said before that's not the volume, but now you're saying it was the pattern for it. And the other point also was they were talking about.
I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm not doing much commentary because I'm really just listening and taking all this in, and there's just really not much to do commentary on. I want to listen to this. I want to hear what you guys have to say, and this is just an epic shit show. And again, these are the conservative influencers who are working for Trump and or DeSantis. This is the brain power on the conservative right. No joke. And we have about I'm gonna do this for maybe another 20 minutes or so, and then we're gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna go into James O'Keefe again. Okay? And people on Twitter are losing, by the way, people on Twitter are losing their minds over this Project Veritas thing, and not a single effing one of them have actually read the lawsuit. Yes, I want to hear from Rudy as well. I want to know what he has to say about this.
Mean-spirited things. no one here is claiming that you read every single employee tweet and every single employee reply and every single employee retweet and quote tweet or whatever they do. We're not asserting that, but what we're talking about though is when we have examples of this that we bring up and show you, that's kind of how we want you to respond. Because we're
Guys,
not
okay, nobody here cares whether I'm consistent in enforcing our employee rule book. What you guys care about is whether or not somebody you can find an excuse to smear somebody as pro DeSantis and tear them down. And that's ultimately why everyone's up in a frenzy about this. It's why you've got all these people who are like, I'm with Gavin, I'm with Gavin. This was a personnel matter. I made the right call. I don't regret that I did it. I'd do it again. And it was about behavior. It was a recurring pattern of behavior that I didn't like associated with our brand. And that's my decision to make. And that's the end of the conversation. Like, you guys can have your feelings about it if you want to. We're a satire site. We're going to make fun of everybody. We're going to continue to poke fun at DeSantis. We're going to continue to poke fun at Trump. If any of them want to pay us for list rentals, great, we'll take it. I'll take twice as much from Trump as I took from DeSantis.
But it's not a list rental, Seth. Like, you even told me in the text message that you're a consultant for DeSantis. I have those text messages. You said you could consider us speechwriters for DeSantis. We help him find funny angles. So you're trying to tell people that this is about list rentals when you actually said that you are a speechwriter for him. So what is it? Are you a speechwriter or are they list rentals?
Yeah, so
Like,
we had a
me.
non-confidentiality agreement with and I had an off-the-record conversation with you that you leaked.
It actually was never off the record. I have the entire
It
text
was. I
thread.
asked
Never
if you were
once did I
speaking to
say
me as a
off the
journalist or
record.
not. So I was trying to determine
Yeah,
if we
and I
were
said
on the
yes.
record or
I
not.
said
You
yes.
did not.
I said yes. It's in the text, but whatever. Everybody's going to see the truth when I post them later. It's fine. So go on.
You better not post our text, Laura. That's unbelievable.
I can post
This
them. I can post the text messages. They're not confidential text messages.
She
Like,
didn't,
people
so
deserve
far
to
as
see it.
I know.
If
I
you're being
looked.
honest, you shouldn't care about people seeing the text messages.
I am.
But you're not being honest.
I am being honest. I think it's wrong for you to have leaked the conversation in the first place when I asked if you were engaging me as a journalist or as a friend who had questions.
I told
asked you that
as a
question.
journalist, we're not friends. We're not
Can I
friends.
say I
We've
think
never,
it's
like,
really
hung out.
awesome though that Seth is at least up here taking these Q&As. I give him credit
Yep.
for that. You should give your boy Ron some notes because I heard he likes to read from scripts.
I think transparency is good. I don't think that anybody should. I've gotten plenty of text messages from people. I can make them look bad if I leak them. I don't think that anybody should be doing that. But I also don't think that conversation should have been made public in the first place. As far as
I'm not trying to do it bad. I'm just trying to, like, actually get the truth out there, because you keep saying list rentals when you specifically said you write speeches for DeSantis.
Wait,
That's
the thing. Wait, hold on. The thing was because Seth, you made an assertion about me. I never, as of right now, I've never said anything about you being pro whatever. You've never heard that in my space or out of my mouth right now. And you can look
I don't know who's speaking. I'm sorry. Who's speaking?
Yeah. Chief is because I never said that words to you in the space. But the point more so was it's just about the fact that if it was confused about if it was a pattern or if it was just mean-spirited tweets, because you said different things in this space, and I'm not disagreeing that you have a right to fire whoever you want because you're a private business. No one's disputing that, but it's more so about if we have other more serious examples of things we look to. And it's about Jan 6, about Ashley Babbitt and that language. That in itself is a bigger issue than some, a tweet from someone saying "f off." Who's like
Again, I don't think most of the
I
people
do have
here are
the James
concerned with
O'Keefe
whether or not I'm
Twitter
being
space
consistent
pulled
with
up.
myself.
We're going to be
I
changing.
mean, really, you guys have spent your whole day talking about and you're worried about whether I'm consistent with myself.
No, but Seth, just to explain that, because essentially what happens is.
All right, I'm going to fast forward a little bit to see if anyone else talks.
That's a big thing there, but I feel like I hope I'm not the reason Gavin got fired from the Babylon Bee, but obviously doesn't seem like a great situation there. Period.
Rudy left.
Between
Did Rudy ever say anything?
We would never write satire. List
guys, look, this is not like some personal beef, guys.
He might actually not be here. He's been waiting for a while, so. I'll text them and try to get them back on. But Dr. Gorka, everything you just heard right now about the Babylon Bee, everything, all the questions for Seth, his responses. What are your thoughts?
Let's see what Gorka said.
I'll be quick because I'm just picking up my daughter at the airport. I commend Seth. It's America. It's a private company. Even if he's pro DeSantis, so what? That's his choice. And I have to agree with Solomon as well that this is, a level of transparency you wouldn't get from most CEOs. So I commend him. Maybe there's more to the story, but good for him for coming on the space. And look, at the end of the day, you know me. I'm President Trump's former deputy assistant. I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to rally for him. I'll work for him if he wants me to work for him again. But at the end of the day, this is America. So let's just what did Seth say? Just chill a little. Just dial it back a bit. I have serious problems with DeSantis. I think he's got an honor deficit. But at the end of the day, it's America. And if Seth wants to do that, he gets to do that.
Can I respond real quick?
Yeah, go ahead,
Sure,
Heather.
sure. Go
I
ahead.
just think, because everyone knows, like, I'm obviously a Trump supporter. I don't care if people support DeSantis. I don't even care if people support Democrats. Like, I'm like American through and through. You vote for whoever you want. I think it's sort of unfair for him to be like, oh, everyone needs to chill, because in reality, nobody was boycotting the Babylon Bee or thinking about unfollowing them because they supported DeSantis before. Like, we already knew they were sort of leaning more towards DeSantis, but we also followed him. People are talking about unfollowing him specifically because they believe he targeted one of his employees for his beliefs. So it's almost like he's trying to deflect and be like, oh no, don't boycott Babylon Bee because of because you think we're DeSantis. It's like, no, that's not why people are boycotting. People are talking about boycotting because they think you're punishing people for their beliefs. So I just wanted to set the record a little straight there. I do give him so much credit, though, for being up here taking those questions. Some people in my DMs say he just doesn't want to get Bud Lighted and is doing some damage control. I don't know. Either way, I give him credit. I don't think we'd see that sort of live Q&A hot seat type stuff from DeSantis. So maybe he can pass the word along and give him a few notes.
I will say though, because points are being made in that, I do respect that he did have the guts to not be scripted and appear on a space and talk with all of us. But the issue still kind of stands though, in terms of more about questions like how many times did he talk to Gavin about this? He said it was a pattern, and if this will be. If any more enforcement will be happening with other employees who've tweeted out things like that they don't give an F about Ashley Babbitt's death and other some
Okay,
other
so the
things that
Babylon
were a
Bee
bit
guy
more
left at this point.
even worse than that too. So it's a matter of whether that happens or not. But I do commend him for standing up in the space. But those questions.
Let me see what else happens.
And Pedro Gonzalez engaged in pushing this live.
And go. So there's a lot of unknown questions, and he
seen how
went up to 2022, and
Who's
the
here
second
now?
thing
Corcus.
was
Oh, Rudy's
it went
back.
up to 2020.
Rudy's back. Hang on.
Banchi, that's
Let me finish what I'm saying.
I never said that, to be clear.
Look,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
point
go
is
ahead,
that, the point is this: Christina Pushaw did nothing to GOP Josh. He lashed out talking about her physical appearance, and I posted his picture that's on his profile, and I said, "This is the person who's talking about somebody else's appearance." That was, I'd have to go look up the exact quote, but that was what I was saying. Now, Alex cropped out the tweet that I was quoting. You cropped it out so that people couldn't see I was responding to someone. And here's my point.
Banchi, like when you crop out the dates of the payments from Save America PAC, you're one of the biggest spreaders of the propaganda that I was paid $35,000.
They've literally been talking about the same subject for 2 hours.
You crop
2 hours. They've been
I think
talking
you're
about this.
confusing me with somebody else. I've never even called you the $35,000 man. So I mean, I Dave and Max, other people
She
have
was
made that
wasting her
joke
time
about
arguing
you.
with
I
a
don't even call you that.
16-year-old.
In fact, every time I respond to you, it's something where
Okay, so what Sam is telling us right now, and Sam would know these things, is that Christina Pushaw, who works for Ron DeSantis, wasted her time arguing with a 16-year-old influencer on Twitter. The conservative elite. Right here.
you're lying, or how many posts have you deleted in the past week where you've said something false and then you realize it's false?
All right, guys.
So,
guys,
I do that.
Let me finish my point about the.
No, guys, you guys are just basically, it's about a personal thing, and I'm not really bothered about it. It's boring. So let me go to Seth. Seth, thanks for coming back. Laura has sent us some. Well, any thoughts you've got initially, but in addition to that, Laura has sent some payments that were made by yourself to DeSantis's team, DeSantis's PAC. So
And
I'd
I
just like
sent you I also sent you the screenshots right now so you can see everything I'm saying is true, because I take great offense to being called a liar. And I'm really tired of people saying that I'm like crazy and that I'm a conspiracy theorist. And, you know, that's what the left did to me for 5 years when they deplatformed me and banned me everywhere for posting and
They
breaking
are
the story about
literally
Omar marrying her brother
retarded.
and being an anti-Semite.
They
Like,
are
it's really
literally
disgusting how
retarded.
they use these leftist talking points to try to like say that, oh, she's like mentally ill or unstable or she's unwell.
Do you guys know why I don't get upset when conservative influencers like Carlin is a locale? Every community has their locale and it's Carlin. Do you guys know why I don't get upset? Because this is the height of where we're going to get to on the conservative right. This is real. And I'm just like, if I was accepted and embraced by these people, there would be something wrong with me. Fine, I'm your locale. Fine. I am completely comfortable with that. Fine.
Or, you know, she's a conspiracy theorist. Everything that I've said has turned out to be true. I always provide documentation to back up what I'm saying. So it's just really, it's really disgusting.
So Laura, let me go to Seth. Seth, go ahead, bro.
Can I say real quickly? Just
no, 1 second, Chief. Chief, let Seth go. Chief, go ahead. Sorry, Seth, go ahead.
What am I responding to? I'm not sure what I've missed.
All right, Cos. Yeah. So what you missed was, since you've been gone, Laura has provided images and evidences of 2 things. The first thing is payments from Babylon. Payments to Babylon B, which went up to 2022. And the second thing is your and so the final payment. One payment was on the 8th of March, 2022, of $1,500. The second one was 23rd of March, 2022, which was $5,000. And then your personal donations, one of which is £250 on the in 2021, and the second one on 2022 on the 13th of October, which was $40,000. So I believe that so that was the first thing, and then I'll go on to the other messages afterwards.
That's
But
not a
I
small
believe
amount of
you
money.
said
That's not
previously that the last
$5,000.
time there was any kind of donation or any type of money received by Babylon B was on 2021.
No, I said that the screenshot that everybody's sharing crops off the dates. That screenshot was of payments from 2021, I believe, for list rentals. That's what I said earlier. Yeah. So I guess I'm there all of this, the questions about payments that we receive or what they're for. We're not always at liberty to disclose things like that. A lot of business relationships have contractual agreements that restrict what you can say about that. I had made comments to Laura in more detail that I believed were off the record. She didn't honor that. And I guess, she claims that she said that she never I guess consenting to going off the record.
It was just all over text.
Perhaps,
We didn't have a verbal conversation. It was text
yeah, and
messages.
I wanted to,
I'm happy
before I
to-
spoke to you, I wanted to make sure that it was off the record because I wasn't at liberty to.
But it doesn't say in the text messages off the record. You
Okay,
never said off the record.
you can get really specific into the semantics. Obviously, I was concerned about what I was saying to you as if you were talking to me as a journalist or not. So it's very frustrating that you're now sharing the information that was shared with you privately, publicly. I'm not ashamed of these things. A lot of these things are protected by agreements where there's non-confidentiality. You're not allowed to speak about them publicly.
Exactly.
I can say definitively and
The
factually
memes,
and
memes,
deny
bro.
categorically
That's all that matters.
that
The memes.
we have ever been paid to attack Trump on behalf of DeSantis or any affiliate of DeSantis, any PAC. We are a satire site. We make jokes. That's what we do. We're not in anybody's pocket. We don't choose sides. We will run email campaigns for anybody. We will consult and do speech writing for anybody who wants to punch up jokes in their speeches, but we are not paid to be shills for one candidate or another and promote them on our website or attack other people at their behest. And those are disgusting lies. You talk about you don't like being lied about, but implying that and getting everybody to believe that is really wrong. I think it's really wrong. You know, we are not in political games here where we're getting involved in politics. We are a comedy site, and we take things very lightly and make fun of everybody, including DeSantis. Look at the jokes we've just made about DeSantis, and we are receiving no current payments from him. We are not on his payroll. We don't want to be involved in at all during the primaries. Now that he's announced that he's running, we don't want to be even have the perception that we're involved with either campaign. So we're not doing any work or any list rentals during
Can
that
you bring
time. I think
me
it's the
down
same
and up again?
the same policy that
I'll do that.
same policy that the Daily Wire has. You know, they're not currently running any campaigns or with email campaigns or doing anything with either candidate until the primaries decided. And I think that's a prudent policy, and we share that view that we shouldn't be doing anything like that, just so it doesn't even get the appearance of us being one-sided. But we are not taking sides. The Babylon Bee is not political as an organization. We make fun of everyone from a Christian worldview. And I really resent that people are trying to paint us in that light. And again, I go back to this point that I made earlier. Even if we were in one camp or another, don't we have a right to be? Like, why does that make us evil? It's so silly. It's so silly. It's ridiculous. Like, we don't have a right to freely associate with whoever we want to. I'm proud of whatever I've been able to do to help DeSantis get elected by donating to his campaign or going to the governor's mansion was a great honor. Going to Mar-a-Lago was a great honor. I'm not embarrassed of any of it. It's not a gotcha where something confidential that I'm ashamed of that's being hidden is being leaked into the public. There are situations where you have contractual agreements where you're not supposed to talk about these things, and you have non-confidentiality in place. Employment agreements have that. Contracts with contractors have that. And so you can't always talk openly about it, but that doesn't mean that you're hiding it because you're ashamed of it or you think it's wrong.
Right.
I'm not ashamed of anything that I've done.
Is it? But so
Seth, in terms of the payments, obviously these ones are public. I guess the main question people have is, I mean, the if I remember right, the most recent payment, which is in the public records, which Laura shared, was in October 2022, which is about seven months ago. Has there been any payments from the DeSantis camp to you or vice versa? And why it's important is you can be on anyone's side. I don't think anyone disputes that. What the concern is, if you are on DeSantis' side, then or not. But if you are, then I think there needs to be transparency.
I'm not talking about.
Can I just jump in? Hang on, Seth. Can I just say something here?
Sure.
Who the hell cares? He's not a news agency, and it's his bloody company. What hell right do we have to know he's getting payments from? It's a satire company.
We do have a right. There's usually plenty of conservative space to
and why should I
start.
have to
If they're getting
disclose
paid by
any of this stuff?
you don't have
it's
to.
a lot of this stuff
Just
is done
because you
under
can doesn't
agreements.
mean you should.
Every agreement that we have with an outside contractor has some kind of an agreement, or where if we're providing services to somebody, that restrict what you're allowed to say about amounts and when and dates and all of these things. I don't get why this is anybody's business, and I don't understand why anybody thinks that it means that we're somehow
Then
in somebody's
why are you
pocket
on a
just because
Twitter
we do
space
business
for
with
2
somebody.
hours
Again, like I said,
talking about
I'm happy
it?
to take money from Trump's people
If
if they want to
don't
run
think it's
campaigns
anyone's
with us or
business,
have us
don't
do
do
work
a
for them in some
2-hour
capacity.
Twitter
Happy
space
to do that. I'm
talking
happy to go
about it.
speak at press conferences for him if he'd like me to support his digital bill of rights or anything that he wants to do regarding censorship. I'm happy to just support the cause itself. So I don't understand why anybody cares. I'm not obligated to answer any specific questions about amounts or dates or
And
anything like that. I don't
don't be
know
on
why
a
you guys
Twitter
are so
space,
up in arms
bro.
about it. We're a comedy site. Laugh at the jokes or not. If you don't think we're funny, unfollow us.
But
Yeah. So Seth, let me ask you, because
Why do you all care?
Obvious. Well, so I'm going to shift
Nobody
just a little
cares.
bit here.
People just want to make sure you're not
Heather,
fired.
no, I'm going to shift here just a little bit.
You care very much.
Because this is the and again, we appreciate you coming back up here and facing the fire here. Obviously, the question that sparked this entire thing, it had to do with the tweets where Gavin Mario Wax, who was he was your vice president of marketing. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he asked, "Hey, Christina Pushall, what is your fucking problem?" And you responded initially and said, "What's yours? Tweeting like this with the B in your bio doesn't work for me." And then he followed up, and actually, it just glitched out. He followed up with to that tweet. At what point did you decide that you were going to fire him? Was it the first tweet, or was it when you went back and said you can remove the B from your bio now? And if you can tell us what his response was, that would be good because my phone just totally froze.
I can't speak to anything from offline. All I can speak to is what was said publicly. I think the tweets speak for themselves, and I've explained my action there. So I don't know why. I'm not sure why. Like, how many hours could we have a conversation about? If there's anything specific that we haven't talked about that anybody would like me to respond to, I'm happy to. But we had the conversation about the tweets already.
So if he agrees,
we do have much bigger.
He is deflecting on every single question, which makes me trust him much less than I already did.
The point
He's
that I'm
deflecting on
trying to
everything.
ask
He
is
hasn't
people
answered
want to
one
know,
single
and they keep
straight
asking in the
question.
comment section, which is why I brought it back up. So clearly, a lot of people didn't hear it. Was there any sort of offline conversation before you guys had this back and forth?
I'm not getting into details of a personnel matter beyond what was said publicly that people can look at. And I said that earlier.
You
People can go
fired
back and listen
someone
to the beginning of
publicly
the
on
space if
Twitter,
they want to hear
Seth.
what was said earlier.
You got it. Don't fucking. I can't.
times do we have to go over that?
Propriety and all that. Fuck
Can
you,
I,
dude. You fired someone live on
I think I
Twitter.
can clarify something here. The reason, at least for what I
He
kind
is
of
sketchy,
cared about
man.
it for,
Sketchy,
was because I've heard about Gavin
sketch.
with his work with young Republicans in New York.
And I don't even have
And
a
from what
dog
we
in this
saw
fight. I
on
don't really
Twitter,
care, but
we saw him do something. He made a tweet, and whether there was a pattern or not, you kind of at one point said it was not the volume, but the spirit of tweets, and then the other time he said it's a pattern. So that was the confusion there. And then what happened afterwards, he got fired on Twitter publicly, and that kind of appeared for people online who don't really look into stuff a lot to appear to be some sort of not really retaliation, but a way to get rid of someone who was defending himself on there. Now, if there's an internal problem with him performance-wise, that's something we have no clue about. I'm sure not be able to talk to us if you've talked to him in the past about performance or other issues. Maybe you've talked in the past about his tweets.
Earlier it was all this conversation about whether it was political or not. I explained it has nothing to do with his politics, which candidate he supports, or who I support. It had nothing to do with that. This was a conduct matter.
Okay, so it was was it the volume of the tweets or
guys? Is there anything new or interesting that we can talk about that we haven't already gone over?
I promise you. And I say this from the perspective of an organizational psychologist who has been in on the firings of many, 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 many more employees than I actually wanted to be involved in the firings of. I promise you, there is something else going on. There is something that Seth Dillon does not want to talk about. There is something that happened behind the scenes or off of Twitter, and maybe the tweet was like the final straw that really pissed him off, but there is something else that happened. You don't fire someone over a single tweet. That doesn't happen. And then to come on this Twitter space and completely deflect about everything and be like, I don't even know why we're having this conversation for 2 hours. I don't even know what's going on. Why are we even here? Why is this even important? He hasn't answered any questions. He's acting as though he didn't publicly fire someone on Twitter. There is something else going on, and we might not find out what it is. Actually, we gotta actually know what this is. A great place to cut the stream because we have to go because James O'Keefe is responding to Project Veritas, and I'm going to stream it because I subscribe to James O'Keefe's Twitter. And so I'm going to have access to the Twitter space that James O'Keefe is doing in 10 minutes. And I'm going to stream it. And I want to see what he has to say. And then we're going to stream Timcast because that's what we're going to do. Because that's going to be far more productive than this. Because Seth Dillon is obviously not going to answer any questions. This is all a massive shit show. These are the conservative Twitterati. These are the people who are going to save us all. This is what it's really like, guys. I'm really glad that you guys got to be a part of this. If you want to know why, I have no faith in the conservative establishment to save us at all. This is why. This crap right here. Okay, guys. So what's going to happen? If you want to stick around and listen to James O'Keefe, we are going to end this stream, okay? Then on YouTube, you are going to be redirected to a new stream. It is only going to be on YouTube. If you are watching me right now on another platform, it is only going to be on YouTube because I can only set up so many streams at one time, okay? So, exclusively on my YouTube channel, we are going to go do the James O'Keefe reaction stream right now, where we're going to listen to what James O'Keefe has to say. And we are going to watch the Tim Pool episode with James O'Keefe. And we're going to talk about why James O'Keefe is absolutely going to lose this lawsuit. In case you missed the stream earlier, like, I will explain why you might like James O'Keefe and think he's a hero, and that's fine, but James O'Keefe is absolutely going to lose this lawsuit. And we're going to talk about it. All right, guys? So we're cutting this stream. Go over to the other one with the James O'Keefe thumbnail. I will be there expeditiously. Let's keep going. We're streaming all day, apparently. It's just that type of day. Okay, fine. See you guys soon.